The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement. Hundreds of alien representatives from across the galaxy sat in their floating pods, their voices creating an echo that bounced off the crystal walls. Today was special. They had discovered a new spacefaring species. Admiral Vale, the Council's military advisor, stood at the center platform. His tall gray figure cast a long shadow as he activated the holographic display. A small fleet of ships appeared in the air, rotating slowly. These, he said, his voice carrying a hint of amusement, are the military vessels of species designation 3174, or as they call themselves, humans. Laughter rippled through the chamber. The ships looked plain compared to the elegant vessels of other species. They were blocky, dark, and seemed to lack the usual decorative elements that marked advanced civilizations. Our initial scans show their entire fleet consists of merely 50 capital ships. Vale continued, bringing up comparison charts. The average council member maintains at least 2,000 ships. Even the smallest of our member species has a fleet of 500 vessels. Councillor Reed, known for his cautious nature, raised his hand. But surely, Admiral, any species capable of faster-than-light travel deserves proper evaluation. I've analyzed their capabilities thoroughly, Vale replied, his 6 fingers dancing across the control panel. Their weapons are basic energy-based systems. Their shields appear to use standard deflection technology. Nothing we haven't seen before, and certainly nothing remarkable. The hologram changed to show a size comparison. Human ships were notably smaller than the average council vessel. This prompted another round of laughter. They build them like escape pods. Someone shouted from the upper levels. Vale nodded, sharing in the amusement. We've detected no signs of advanced quantum technology, no reality-bending devices, not even basic dimensional folding. Their ships are exactly what they appear to be: simple transport and combat vessels. In the back of the chamber, Observer Wilson watched silently. He had spent 3 months studying human historical records, and something about this assessment felt wrong. But as a junior member of the Council's Intelligence Division, his voice carried little weight. I propose, Vale announced, that we send them our standard diplomatic package. Show them our full fleet strength in the greeting ceremony. Let them understand their place in the galactic hierarchy from the beginning. The Council leader, High Speaker Morris, leaned forward in his pod. Any objections to this course of action? Wilson wanted to speak up. He had read about something humans called the Battle of Midway, where a smaller force had destroyed a much larger fleet through superior tactics and technology. He had studied their World War II, where quality had often trumped quantity. But protocol prevented junior members from addressing the full council. Then it is decided, Morris declared. We will send the Third Fleet to Earth's solar system. 1,000 ships should be sufficient to demonstrate our peaceful intentions and technological superiority. As the council members filed out of the chamber, Wilson hurried to catch up with his superior, Director Brown. Sir, he said, I really think we should review more of their military history before. Wilson, Brown cut him off. They have 50 ships. 50. The Third Fleet has battle cruisers bigger than their largest vessel. What could they possibly do? Wilson fell silent, but he couldn't shake his unease. In all the human battles he had studied, they had shown a remarkable ability to surprise their opponents. They had a saying he had come across. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. As he watched the council members leave, all confident in their superiority, Wilson remembered another human saying that seemed particularly relevant. Pride comes before a fall. The next day, the Third Fleet departed for Earth, their massive ships gleaming in the light of distant stars. They carried with them the Council's standard diplomatic message, a demonstration of overwhelming force wrapped in polite words. No one in the council chamber that day realized they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They had looked at the size of humanity's fleet and laughed. They wouldn't be laughing for long. The council chambers fell silent as Commander James West of the Human Defense Fleet walked in. He was shorter than most alien species present, but something in his walk made everyone sit up straight. 40 years of space combat experience showed in his scared face and steady eyes. "You're making a mistake," West said simply, standing before the council. He didn't bow or show the usual signs of respect that most species did. He just stood there, hands behind his back, looking at them like a teacher facing stubborn students. High Speaker Morris frowned at this lack of protocol. "Commander West, we invited you here as a courtesy before our diplomatic fleet arrives at Earth. Your 50 ships are impressive for a new species, but surely you understand that." "No," West cut him off. "You don't understand. And since you're about to make a very dangerous mistake, I'm going to explain something to you." He pulled out a small device and projected an image of ancient Earth. This was humanity's first naval battle. He pointed to a scene of wooden ships. "Do you know what we learned from thousands of years of warfare on our oceans?" Admiral Vale laughed. "Primitive water combat. What could that possibly teach us about space warfare?" West smiled, but his eyes remained serious. "We learned that the number of ships doesn't win battles. Quality beats quantity. Always has, always will." He changed the image to show a modern human spacecraft. "This is the HDF Thunder, one of our 50 ships that you find so amusing. Would you like to know what it can do?" "We've scanned your vessels," Vale said dismissively. "Standard technology, nothing special." West changed the image again, showing the inside of the ship. "What you scanned was exactly what we wanted you to scan. Tell me, Admiral, in all your years of space combat, have you ever heard of something called a false hull?" Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Vale's confident expression wavered slightly. "Each of our ships," West continued, "carries technology you can't detect because you don't know to look for it. We build few ships because each one takes 5 years to complete. Each crew trains together for 3 years before their first mission. Every ship is a masterpiece of human engineering and innovation." He walked closer to the council platform. "You see 50 ships and laugh. I see 50 precision instruments, each capable of changing the course of a war. You count numbers. We count capabilities." Observer Wilson, watching from his usual spot in the back, noticed how the other council members had stopped laughing. Something about West's quiet confidence was finally getting through to them. "Let me tell you about the Battle of Thermopylae," West said, showing another historical image. 300 soldiers held off an army of thousands. They did it through superior position, superior training, and superior tactics. He looked directly at High Speaker Morris. "Your 1,000 ships that you're sending to Earth, they're about to meet humanity's version of those 300 Spartans. Only this time, we're fighting in our element, space that we've studied and prepared for." "Are you threatening us, Commander?" Morris asked, his voice cold. "No," West replied calmly. "I'm warning you. There's a difference. A threat is what you do to someone you want to fight. A warning is what you give someone you'd rather not destroy." He turned to leave, then stopped at the door. "One last thing. There's an old human saying, 'Judge not by appearances.' Your scans show you what our ships look like. They don't show you what they can do." After West left, the council chamber remained quiet for a long time. Finally, Admiral Vale spoke up, trying to sound confident. "Surely we're not going to let one human's dramatic speech change our plans." Morris shook his head. "Of course not. The Third Fleet has already begun its approach to Earth. Besides, what can 50 ships possibly do against 1,000? In his corner, Wilson wrote down something West had said, feeling it might be important soon. Quality beats quantity. As the council members filed out, still trying to convince themselves they were right, none of them noticed a small light blinking on West's forgotten projection device. In its memory, classified scans showed the true nature of human ships and the incredible technology hidden beneath those simple-looking hulls. The stage was set. The Third Fleet was about to learn why humans only needed 50 ships to defend their territory. The border between human space and Council territory was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Mark Rogers stood on the bridge of the HDF Thunder, watching his sensor displays. Two other human ships floated nearby, the Lightning and the Storm. Enemy fleet detected, his AI assistant announced. 200 ships approaching from Sector 7. Rogers nodded calmly. Just as command predicted, they couldn't resist testing our borders. The enemy fleet appeared on the main screen, led by Commander Blake of the Stellar Empire. Their ships were beautiful, all gleaming silver and gold, shaped like giant arrowheads cutting through space. Each one was 3 times the size of a human vessel. "Attention, human vessels." Blake's voice boomed over the communication channel. "You have entered restricted space. As a show of mercy, we will give you one chance to retreat." Rogers looked at his crew. Every face showed the same calm confidence. They had trained 5 years for this moment. "This is Captain Rogers," he replied. "Actually, you're the ones who crossed into human space. We have 3 ships here. Turn back, or we'll be forced to demonstrate why that's more than enough." Laughter echoed through the communication channel. 3 ships? Blake's voice dripped with amusement. "We have 200. What could you possibly do?" Rogers smiled. "Computer, initiate battle configuration alpha. Activate true hull." The outside of the Thunder seemed to shimmer. Panels that had looked like simple metal plating split apart, revealing hidden weapon ports. The ship's entire structure shifted, transforming from a basic transport vessel into something entirely different. On the enemy fleet's sensors, alarms started blaring. "Sir," Blake's sensor officer shouted, "the human ships, they're changing. Energy readings are off the scale." "Impossible," Blake muttered. "Their technology was supposed to be primitive." Rogers pressed a button on his command chair. "All ships, execute maneuver pattern Delta. Show them what 50 years of human innovation looks like." What happened next would be talked about in the council chambers for years to come. The Thunder accelerated at speeds that should have been impossible for its size. Its hull glowed with strange energy as hidden technology activated. Weapons that hadn't shown up on any scan suddenly came to life. The Lightning and Storm moved in perfect coordination, as if guided by a single mind. Each human ship released clouds of what looked like metal dust. "Are they trying to blind our sensors with debris?" Blake laughed. Then his smile disappeared as each dust particle transformed into a tiny combat drone. Thousands of drones swarmed through space, each one carrying weapons that could pierce capital ship armor. They moved in patterns too complex for normal computers to track, guided by a combination of human intuition and advanced AI. "Impossible," Blake shouted as the first wave of his ships began exploding. "Focus all fire on their capital ships." But the human vessels were no longer where they had been. They moved like dancers through space, their true hulls absorbing or deflecting energy blasts that should have destroyed them instantly. "Sir," Rogers' tactical officer reported, "enemy ships showing confusion in their formation. Their communication seems disrupted." "Of course it is," Rogers said. "They rely too much on Central Command, each captain waiting for orders instead of thinking for themselves. Time to show them how humans fight." The Thunder dove straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. Its hidden weapons fired with surgical precision, targeting engines and weapon systems instead of going for simple destruction. Within 20 minutes, 60 enemy ships were either destroyed or disabled. The rest of Blake's fleet was in chaos, their beautiful formation shattered. This isn't possible." Blake's voice shook as he watched another wave of his ships go dark. "You're supposed to be primitives." "A word of advice," Rogers replied calmly. "Never judge a species by the number of their ships. Judge them by what each ship can do." The 3 human vessels regrouped, their true hulls gleaming with power. Behind them, a third of the enemy fleet floated dead in space. The rest were already turning to retreat. "Send a message to command," Rogers told his communication officer. "Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The Council's test has failed. Now they'll have to decide if they really want to see what we can do when we're actually trying. As the enemy fleet fled, Rogers looked at his crew. Good work, everyone. But remember, this was just a border skirmish. The real battle is coming. He turned to look at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, the Council's main fleet was still heading toward Earth. They thought 50 ships meant we were weak, he said quietly. They're about to learn why we only needed 50. The Council's emergency meeting chamber was in chaos. On the main screen, recordings from the border battle played again and again. Admiral Vale watched with a pale face as 3 human ships decimated a fleet of 200. Impossible, he shouted, slamming his fist down. Our scans showed nothing like this. How did they hide such technology? Observer Wilson stepped forward, finally feeling brave enough to speak. Sir, I've finished analyzing the battle data. You need to see this. He activated his own display, showing detailed scans of the human ships during their transformation. The humans weren't just hiding weapons. They've developed technology we've never seen before. The room fell silent as Wilson explained. First, their ships don't have regular pilots. Each captain is connected directly to their ship through a neural link. But it's more than that. They've combined human minds with advanced AI systems. What does that mean? High Speaker Morris asked, leaning forward. It means, Wilson replied, that their ships can react at impossible speeds. While our captains are still giving orders, their ships are already moving. The human mind provides intuition and creativity, while the AI handles calculations and execution. He showed another recording, this time focusing on the swarm of drones. These aren't simple remote weapons. Each drone has a basic AI that connects back to the main ship. They act like an extension of the captain's will. It's like fighting one giant ship that can split into thousands of pieces. Admiral Vale watched the footage of his ships being torn apart by the drone swarm. But our shields, our armor. That's the second surprise, Wilson continued. The humans have developed what they call adaptive shielding. Their shields don't just block attacks. They learn from them. Every time we hit them, their defenses got stronger. In the corner of the room, Commander West sat quietly, having been called back to explain the battle. He watched as the council members finally began to understand what they were facing. The worst part, Wilson said, pulling up new data, is that we've only seen a fraction of their capabilities. Look at their energy readings during the battle. They were operating at less than 30% power. The room erupted in shocked whispers. High Speaker Morris turned to West. Why? He demanded. Why show us this now? West stood up slowly. Because you needed to understand. That battle wasn't meant to destroy your ships. It was a demonstration. A warning of what's coming if you continue with your planned attack on Earth. He walked to the main display and pointed to the retreating enemy ships. Notice how most of them were disabled, not destroyed. Our captains chose to show mercy. They disabled engines, weapons, and communications. They could have destroyed every ship in that fleet. But how? Vale asked, his voice shaking. How did you develop all this without us knowing? Because you were looking for the wrong things, West explained. You searched for standard weapons, traditional shields, known technology. We took a different path. While you built bigger ships, we built smarter ones. While you focused on quantity, we focused on innovation. He turned to face the council. Each of our 50 ships is a testament to human ingenuity. The neural links took 20 years to perfect. The adaptive shields took 15. The drone swarms required a complete reimagining of AI technology. Wilson played one final recording, a close-up of a human ship's transformation. Look at the precision, he said quietly. Every panel, every system, working in perfect harmony. It's not just technology, it's art. High Speaker Morris stood up, his face grave. And our fleet of 1,000 ships is still heading toward Earth. Yes, West replied. You have 6 hours to recall them. After that, we won't be able to guarantee the same level of restraint our border patrol showed. The council chamber fell into stunned silence. They had just watched 3 human ships defeat 200 of theirs, and now they had to face the fact that those same humans had 47 more ships, each apparently capable of the same devastating performance. Admiral Vale looked at the battle footage one last time, watching as the human ships danced through space, their true hulls gleaming with hidden power. "We thought we were bringing overwhelming force," he whispered. "But we were the ones about to be overwhelmed." The grand fleet of the Council filled the space near Jupiter. 1,000 ships, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight, arranged in perfect battle formation. At their center, the massive command ship, Glory of Ages, prepared for what they believed would be a quick victory. Fleet Admiral Grant stood on his command bridge, watching the tactical display with growing concern. Still no response from command about our withdrawal orders. "No, sir," his communications officer replied. "The Council has ordered us to continue the operation. They say we can't lose face now." Grant shook his head. After seeing the recordings from the border battle, he had hoped for a diplomatic solution. But the Council's pride had won out over common sense. The sensor officer suddenly straightened in his chair. Multiple contacts detected approaching from Earth. Reading: 20 ships. On the massive view screen, human vessels appeared from behind Mars' orbit. They moved in a loose formation that seemed almost casual, like dancers preparing for a performance. "This is Commander West of the Human Defense Fleet," a familiar voice broadcasted across all channels. "Your fleet has entered restricted space. You have one final chance to withdraw." Admiral Grant grabbed his communication system. "Commander West, I've seen what your ships can do. I'm asking one last time. Let me withdraw my fleet." "Request denied." Another voice cut in. It was High Speaker Morris. The Council had opened a direct channel to observe the battle. "The Council will not be intimidated by 20 ships, no matter how advanced. Admiral Grant, you will proceed with the operation." Grant's hands tightened on his command rail. 1,000 against 20. But after seeing what just 3 human ships had done to a fleet of 200, "All ships, battle formation," he ordered, knowing he had no choice. "Prepare for—" He never finished the sentence. The human ships suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds, their outer hulls transforming like flowers blooming in fast motion. Hidden weapon ports appeared, and strange energy fields shimmed around their ships. "They're launching drones," someone shouted. The space between the fleets filled with millions of tiny lights. Each human ship had released what looked like a small galaxy of combat drones, but these were different from the ones used in the border battle. They were bigger, faster, and there were so many more of them. "This is why we only needed 50 ships." West's voice was calm over the command channel. "Each one carries enough drone fighters to match your entire fleet. And these aren't the practice drones we used at the border." The human ships split into pairs, moving with perfect coordination. Their drones formed complex patterns that seemed to defy normal space tactics. "All ships, open fire," Grant ordered, watching as his fleet launched its first massive attack. But the energy weapons passed harmlessly through the human formation. Holographic projections, Grant realized too late. The real ships were already behind his fleet. What happened next would be remembered as the 20 minutes of light. The human ships moved like they were dancing through space, their enhanced captains and AI systems working in perfect harmony. Each vessel became a symphony of destruction, their hidden weapons finally revealed at full power. The Council watched in stunned silence as their mighty fleet began to fall apart. Drones sliced through capital ships like paper. Advanced human weapons bypassed shields that had been considered impenetrable. Ships that had taken years to build were disabled in seconds. "Impossible," Morris whispered, watching from the Council chamber. "Even with their technology, 20 ships can't." "We warned you," Wilson said quietly, standing beside him. "We build fewer ships because each one is perfect. Your 1,000 ships are fighting 20 human crews who've trained together for years. using technology you can't understand, with tactical systems that learn and adapt every second. Within 15 minutes, half the Council fleet was either destroyed or disabled. The human ships moved with increasing speed, as if they were getting better at fighting with each passing moment. They're neural links, Wilson explained, seeing the Council's confusion. The more they fight, the better they get. Their ships learn, adapt, and improve in real time. You're not fighting the same fleet you faced 5 minutes ago. As the battle reached its final stages, Commander West's voice echoed through every remaining Council ship. Remember this day. This is why humanity only needed 50 ships. Quality will always beat quantity. The Council had made their choice. Now they were learning why it had been the wrong one. Admiral Grant stood on his crippled flagship, watching the last of his 1,000-ship fleet surrender to just 20 human vessels. The massive view screen showed something that should have been impossible. The scattered remains of the Council's greatest armada, disabled by a force 50 times smaller. "Admiral," his sensor officer called out, voice shaking. "You need to see these readings. The human ships. They're still getting stronger." The main display showed energy readings from the human fleet. Each ship glowed brighter than before, their true hulls now fully revealed. What had looked like simple metal plates were actually layers of technology beyond Council understanding. Commander West's voice came through once more. "Admiral Grant, to prevent further loss of life, I'm going to show you exactly what you're facing. Full power to all systems. Show them everything." The human ships suddenly transformed again. Their hulls seemed to become transparent, revealing layer after layer of technology that the Council had never imagined possible. "First," West explained, as if giving a lecture, "our quantum-linked targeting systems." Grant watched in awe as golden lines of energy connected all 20 human ships. Each vessel could now see through the other sensors, share targeting data instantly, and coordinate attacks faster than thought. "Your ships fight alone," West continued. "Ours fight as one." Second, our AI battle coordination. Holographic displays appeared around each human ship, showing complex battle plans that changed every millisecond. The AIs weren't just helping to fight. They were creating and adapting strategies in real time. Third, our adaptive shield frequencies. The energy fields around the human ships shifted through colors that hurt to look at. "Each hit we take teaches our shields how to be stronger," West explained. "By now, they've learned to block every weapon in your arsenal." And finally, West's voice carried a hint of pride, "our micro-jump drive technology." The human ships disappeared and reappeared across the battlefield, moving through space in ways that defied normal physics. They weren't just fast, they were literally jumping through tiny folds in space-time. On the Council Observation Channel, Wilson was explaining to the stunned leaders, "This is why humans only built 50 ships. Each one costs more than 1,000 regular vessels. Each crew trains for years to master these systems. It's not about the number of ships. It's about what each ship can do." Back on his flagship, Grant watched as a single human vessel approached. Its true hull was now fully visible, a masterpiece of engineering and art combined. The ship looked alive, its systems working in perfect harmony with its crew. "Do you understand now?" West asked quietly. "We tried to warn you. We tried to explain. Humanity took a different path in space warfare. While you built more ships, we built better ones. While you trained more crews, we trained ours to perfection." The sensor officer's voice was barely a whisper. "Sir, I'm detecting technology in their ships that doesn't even show up on our classification systems. Some of these readings, they break our laws of physics." "Not your laws," West corrected, "just the ones you know about. Humanity has always thought differently about space, time, and warfare. We don't believe in overwhelming force. We believe in overwhelming innovation." Grant finally found his voice. "All surviving ships, stand down. Power down weapons and engines." He turned to face the human vessel through his view screen. "Commander West, on behalf of the Council fleet, I surrender. "Surrender accepted," West replied. "And Admiral, thank you for being wise enough to end this. The last thing we wanted was to destroy your entire fleet." As rescue ships began arriving to help the disabled Council vessels, Grant couldn't help but ask one final question. "Commander, if this is what 20 of your ships can do, what are the other 30 capable of?" West's laugh carried through the communication channel. "Admiral, who said we brought our best ships to this battle? These 20 are our training vessels. The real fleet is still guarding Earth." In the Council chamber, watching through their displays, the alien leaders finally understood their true mistake. They hadn't just underestimated humanity's technology. They had underestimated humanity's entire approach to warfare. The age of massive fleets was over. Humanity had just revolutionized space combat forever. 3 days after the battle, the Council chamber looked very different. Gone were the floating pods and displays of power. Instead, human and alien leaders sat together at a simple round table. Commander West sat beside Captain Rogers, facing High Speaker Morris and Admiral Vale. "So," Morris said, looking at the battle recordings playing silently on the wall, "20 training ships. You defeated our greatest fleet with training ships." "Yes," West replied simply. "Would you like to know why we're telling you this now?" Vale nodded, his earlier arrogance replaced with genuine curiosity. "Please." West pressed a button, and a new hologram appeared above the table. It showed Earth's solar system, but now tiny dots of light revealed the positions of the real human fleet. 30 ships, each one larger and more advanced than the vessels that had just defeated the Council's armada. "Mother of Stars," Vale whispered. "Those energy readings, they're twice as powerful as the ships we faced." 3 times, actually, Rogers corrected. "These are our actual combat vessels. What you saw was a demonstration by our training fleet. We kept our real ships back to protect Earth, just in case." Observer Wilson, now promoted to senior analyst, stepped forward with his report. "The human approach to space warfare is completely different from anything we've seen. They don't build ships for show or power. Each vessel is a work of art, science, and tactical thinking combined." He showed detailed scans of a single human combat ship. Their real fleet vessels can each split into 3 separate ships when needed. The neural links allow one captain to control all 3 parts. It's like having 3 ships with the coordination of one. "But why?" Morris asked. "Why build so few ships when you could clearly build more?" West smiled. "Because that's not how humans think. We learned long ago that bigger isn't always better. Perfect is better than plentiful. Quality beats quantity." "And now," Rogers added, "we're offering to share this approach with the Council." The room fell silent. Morris leaned forward. "Share? After we tried to intimidate you? After we sent a fleet to your home?" "Yes," West said firmly. "Because that's also how humans think. We don't hold grudges when we can make allies instead. We're offering to help upgrade your ships, train your crews, and show you why smaller, better fleets are the future of space travel." Vale looked at the scans again. "Our entire understanding of space warfare will have to change." "That's right," Wilson agreed. "And that's the real lesson here. The Council has been doing the same things for centuries, building bigger fleets, more ships, larger weapons. Humanity looked at space and asked different questions. We didn't ask how many ships can we build. We asked how perfect can we make each ship." West stood up and walked to the main screen, where footage of the battle still played. "Look at these scenes again. Notice how no 2 human ships fight exactly the same way. That's because we don't mass-produce anything. Each ship is unique, built to match its captain's style and thinking." "Like a warrior's personal weapon," Morris said, finally understanding. "Exactly," Rogers nodded. "Each ship is a masterpiece. Each crew is a family. Each battle is a dance, not just a fight." The Council members looked at each other. Then Morris stood up. "Commander West, Captain Rogers, on behalf of the Galactic Council, We accept your offer, and we offer our sincere apology for our previous behavior." West smiled. "Apology accepted. Now, shall we discuss the future? We have some ideas about combining council technology with human innovation that might interest you." As the meeting continued, Wilson looked out the chamber's window at the stars. Just 3 weeks ago, the council had laughed at humanity's tiny fleet. Now they were about to learn why humans had always valued quality over quantity, skill over size, and innovation over intimidation. In the end, it wasn't just about the ships. It was about the human way of thinking. They had brought their own path to the stars, and now they would share it with their new allies. The council had mocked the tiny fleet until they saw it was human ships. Now they would learn from it, grow with it, and together build a better future among the stars. For in space, as on Earth, it was never about how many ships you had. It was about how good each ship could be. The future had changed, and it all started because the council made one simple mistake. They counted the ships instead of measuring their quality. It was a mistake they would never make again.